Hello, welcome to Compel One. My name is Lester Privet, and today we're going to be walking through OpenCV face crop, and we'll have a Docker container as well as a Jupyter notebook running inside that container. If you don't know how to use Docker or Jupyter notebook, I'll actually include some links in the description of the video, as well as the GitHub location where the code can be found and just run. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So if you look at our folder here, we've already got our base directory created, and that directory just has the har cascade file that we'll actually be using to crop the faces. And then there's a pictures directory here that actually has the images in here. So these are some of the images that we'll be looking at here. So let's go ahead and get started with creating our we'll create a requirements.txt file that we'll use inside the Docker container to actually install OpenCV into the container for us. The other thing that to be aware of is we'll probably use requirements.txt and Jupyter notebooks a lot on this channel. So if you don't know what they are, you'll definitely get more information when you subscribe to the channel and actually watch upcoming videos. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and create a requirements.txt file. And we will, in that requirements.txt file, we want to install OpenCV. So we'll just type OpenCV-Python, and that should be it. So we'll go ahead and get out of here. And the other thing, we just named the file wrong, so we'll go in real quick and fix that. Okay, so we can verify that the file is correct, and we can verify that we've got our OpenCV in there. Well, let's go ahead and clear this. The next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a Docker file. And on this channel, we'll probably use the image called Jupyter SciPy. So let's go ahead and actually pull that in here. So we'll go ahead and do from Jupyter/SciPy notebook. And we want to copy all the files into the container. So we'll just do a copy here. And that'll copy all the files. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to actually install OpenCV into this notebook because it's not there already. So we'll go ahead and do a run pip install -r requirements.txt. And from there, when we actually run the container, the command that we want it to execute is Jupyter notebook. So that should go ahead and get our container into a good spot. So we'll go ahead and write that out. And what we'll do next is we'll go ahead and build this container and tag it so that we can actually run it. So we'll go ahead and Docker build, we'll create a tag. We'll call it OpenCV-face crop. And we'll give it a version of, let's div it 2 because I think I've already done this before. So we'll create a new one. This will go ahead and install OpenCV into our container. And after this gets finished running, we'll go ahead and actually run the container and get inside the container and start messing around with the Jupyter notebook and look at some of the files that got created. So from here, we'll go ahead and do a Docker run. We want to expose 888 and we want to map it to 888. And we're going to run the OpenCV face crop, and we want this version right here. So this will go ahead and actually start up the notebook inside the container for us. We'll copy this URL into a browser, and we should be able to hit that Jupyter notebook now. So the other piece that we want to look at here is you can see that our files are here. We've got our pictures here. We've got our Docker file is here, which doesn't matter. The important piece here is this har cascade XML file, because this is what OpenCV is going to use to actually detect faces or know how to detect faces. So in here, we'll go ahead and we will, let's go ahead and copy this because we're going to need this file name here in a minute. Let's go ahead and create a new Python 3 file here. And couple imports that we need here is we're going to go ahead and import OS because we're actually going to be messing around with the file system a little bit. And then we're going to import CV2 from there. So if we run that cell right there, and you can run that cell using Shift Enter, and that'll go ahead and execute the cell and actually get you another command line below that. The next thing we're going to do is just define a couple constants here. So we'll call this one the image path. And that image path is going to be this pictures directory that we were just looking at. And then from there, we will go ahead and define our face cascade file. So we'll just go ahead and create that constant as well. And we will just put the hard cascade XML file. So those are good. The next thing we'll do is, as we're looping through the files and detecting the faces, we're going to go ahead and save the faces out to another file so that we can actually see that it actually detected the face, and we'll also look at the actual file. So here we're going to go ahead and create a function, and we'll call it save faces. And in this guy, we'll take in our cascade that we're going to be using. We'll take in the image name as well. And then we'll just keep a count of how many images were actually processed here. So the image is going to be equal to cv2.imRead, and we're going to read the image. We're going to join the path of the image path that we defined above with the actual image name that was passed into this function. So we'll do that real quick. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and detect the faces. So we'll do this cascade.detect multi. And this will actually detect the faces for us in the file, and it'll detect multiple faces. So we'll go ahead and do that. And here we'll go ahead and loop through all of the faces that were detected. So let's go ahead and name this faces. And so we'll do for I face, and we're going to enumerate here. If I can spell enumerate right. And we'll do faces. And here we will go in and we'll just print out a line here and say we found a face, and we'll go ahead and print out the file name here. So do image name here, and then here we will go ahead and get the coordinates of the actual face that was detected, and get the bounding box for it, right? So the width, height, X, Y, all that good stuff. And then from here, we will go ahead and draw a rectangle. So we're going to create the rectangle, because when we create this rectangle, we're actually going to pull the file or the image out from under the rectangle. So we want to get the Y plus the height, and then we're going to do the X plus the width. So this will get our rectangle here. And then from here, we'll go ahead and actually write that out. So we'll do cv2.imWrite, and we'll go os path.join here, and we want the image path. And we're going to give it a new name so that it doesn't collide with the files that are already there. So we'll call it cropped, and do an underscore here and JPEG. And we'll go ahead and change that to JPEG, and we'll format this out, and we will put the image name here, and then we'll do the actual index that it was found at for the face rectangle. So this right here will allow us to loop through all of the rectangles that exist. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. So this is our function here that we'll use to actually loop through the faces in the actual cascade. And then this cell right here will actually use the cascade file and call that function for each image in the directory. So we'll go ahead and do cascade here. We'll define that, and it's going to be CV2 cascade classifier. And we'll pass in our face cascade file here, or our constant here, because we're going to use that constant to actually pull the file in. So face cascade file. And then from here, we'll define our variable for images process here. And that'll be equal to 0 initially. And then we're going to create a loop to actually loop through all of the files in the directory. So we'll do for fn, and we will go ahead and say for fn os.list directory, and we'll pass in our image path. So this will get us to loop through all of the images in that path. And we don't really need this, but this is just to make sure that it's not pulling in directories and other stuff. We just want it to focus on files. So we'll do that real quick. Call image path and lowercase f. And then we'll go ahead and increment our images processed variable that we just defined. And then we will save, we'll call our function to actually save the faces here. We'll pass in the cascade that we're going to use, and then images process. So we'll go ahead and do that. And let's see if this works for us. And we have an error here. So it says images processed is not defined, and that's because this needs to have an S on it. So if we run that, we still get another error here because we spelled it wrong there as well. So if we loop through, save face is not defined because it should be an S there as well. And local variable face referenced before assignment. So we're going to enumerate faces. We've been leaving off a lot of S's here, so we'll go through here and actually run this. So now it's actually working. So it's saying that it found a face in each of these files here. So if we go back to our pictures directory here, you can see that we've got the original files here, and then the cropped files are here as well. So you can see that image right there of the cropped face that was found in this file right here. So it was able to detect that image or that face in that image. And so this brings us to the end of this tutorial. In the future, we'll probably actually use this tutorial to actually train a TensorFlow model to actually detect whose face is being detected. So that should be fun. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. And also, if you want to see more videos like this, also leave that down in the comment section as well. And also subscribe to the channel. We'll be posting at least once a week, maybe more. Thank you for visiting. Goodbye.